Hello and welcome to my class. Students, I have already talked about this chapter 2, especially when we talk about the institution of democracy. So here we have already talked about in the first part about the election commissions of India, then voting process, then importance of elections and also the elections. Now we will talk about today about the political parties, and soon this chapter I will be also talking about the chapter 3, so that you will be coming to get the sequence properly from this chapter. So here what actually the political parties. Now we have to understand that when we talk about the political party, it is a group of people who share the similar views, especially on political matters and policies to ensure collective good of the society. Now we don't consider that political parties are actually very biased, and they may have the some kind of a wrong impact on the society, or they may have the wrong perception of the society. So such kind of misunderstanding we have to remove, because we should know that politicians, some politicians we can say that may be having the bias perception with regard to the society, but here we have to talk about that they have the views of looking at the society from their own angle. So let us talk about now. So let us say in India how it is actually things are happening. In India, all political parties are actually required to be registered with the Election Commission of India, and then types of political parties that we have got here, especially we have got the political parties in two ways, that is two types, that is a national and a state or a regional party. Now when we talk about the national, okay, a national party refers to a political party actually that functions in 4 or more states of our country. It may say, you can understand that a national party is a which is the ruling party, in fact we can call. So this particular ruling party is a ruling more than the 4 states, so that they become the majority party. And then again you will find that some examples we can find that the Bharatiya Janata Party, whom we call BJP in a short form, and a national Indian National Congress. So these are the two parties are actually very big party right from the beginning, and these parties are actually playing the role in a more than the 4 states in the different parts of our India. So here a party that actually functions at the regional level, that is in the less than 4 states. So when you find that in the state more than the more than or lesser than what is saying functions that is in a less than 4 states, so is recognized as a state party. Okay. Now there are many regional parties in India, such as like a Meghalaya Democratic Party of Meghalaya, Trinamool Congress of West Bengal, and All India Anna Dravida. Each of these, then Munetra, then Kazahagam, that is of the Tamil Nadu. So these are the few parties are actually we can find as a regional party. Then each of these party actually political parties is identified by a unique symbol. So they have got symbol, and approved by the Election Commission of India. A party symbol makes it easy for the people to identify the party and vote during the election. So today we can go for the this voting booth, that time we have to really see the symbol of the party, and on that party only we are giving the voting and all. So we have to keep in mind. So next is why it is important for the political party to have in a country like India. So let's see. So number 1, political parties in fact provide actually enough choices to the voters to choose representatives who could serve the best of their interests. Now we should know that to whom we are selecting, to whom we can appoint, because we understand that when we see there are many of the people are actually appointed, and after having becoming the ministers, they may not be that much hard working, and they don't progress the whatever the situation we have got. Okay, so that's why we have to be careful in what called recruiting the member. Then second point we have to remember that while campaigning before the elections through speeches, rallies or so on, political parties actually help in forming public opinion and highlighting the major problems faced by the people. So they are highlighting, of course, many of the issues that we face, we undergo. These are the few things they are actually mentioning within the party, and then they are trying to make it happen. Then third point we have to remember that political parties unite people from different backgrounds on the basis of the similar views on political issues and the required policies for the overall welfare of the country. Now it's very urgent things to we have to understand that political parties unite the people. Now you see one group of people will be uniting and the other group of people will be hating, and you know the way they will be speech means expressing the speech which is actually kind of like a kind of like a spark spark for the people to be destroy the other community and to fight in the society. And you know other group of people are actually suffering because of the some speeches are given by the politicians. So we have to be very careful in understanding the speeches even. So another point we have to understand, that is after the elections, you know, after the elections, political parties which are actually not able to get the majority seats form the opposition party. So that is very natural. When we look the party today, for example, Congress party is a opposition party, but how far the government is in a different areas are very much failure, and yet the opposition party is somehow is seems to be very weak looking. At many places, BJP government now ruling for 7 years right now, but you can see that there are many failures in the case of like a medicines, in the case of like protecting the women from the different like assault and like rape, and you know especially where there is a BJP government is ruling, those states are having the more crime, and the people who are committing the crime, they belong to either from the MLA, MP or police or something else like that. So people are very much like they are getting kind of like agitation against the government, and you know things are not functioning according to the law and regulations. So that's why I think when we look at the political parties, we look for the betterment of the society, but you know here the parties are actually preventing a person who has committed, to them they are saving. So like that things are happening in the state. So I think we need to take care of all these areas once you are part of the authority. I think once these MLA MPs are coming into power, they I don't know why they become like a kind of like a puppet in the hands of the ministers and all, and then they don't go for the any of the issues to be sort out and to solve the problems. So anything are happening in the country now. So therefore we have got opposition party, and today for example we can talk about media. Now you know the mainstream media of this our country, especially they are with the political party, especially like a ruling party. They are not with the opposition party. You know most of the time the parties, suppose the ruling party has promised some of the things to fulfill, but these are the things are not given within the 7 years is passed by, but none of the promises fulfilled. So instead of raising the questions to the ruling party, the media is shutting up their mouth against this party, and then they are speaking about the opposition party. And opposition party, you know, the opposition party is not ruling right now. Opposition party has ruled maybe the 7 years ago, but then now the ruling party is ruling. So suppose any of the failure is taking place, is not because of the opposition party. Opposition party is nothing to do with the failure of the government. So if the government is a failure, then media is not asking the question to the this ruling party. I don't know, either they are taken a huge amount of money from the government, or either they have threatened, or maybe some other things happen to them, so that they are shutting up their mouth against the government. Suppose today when we look about the Pulwama, this bomb blast, the RDX was actually exploded there, and nearly 40 soldiers, army men have died over there. Then how this RDX came to this bus, and how it was actually exploded there, no inquiry up to now. So that is the failure of the government. That is the failure of the government. Then most of the territories are occupied by the Chinese government, especially when we look about the Ladakh area. So there also the government is a failure. It may say, it seems to be like a government is so powerful, a big name, big fame we can see, but then it's a failure. But the media is not asking such kind of question to the government. Media is very much afraid because in this country what we have seen that once you are asking the question against the government, it means you will be putting into the jail. You will be put in the jail. Following day, the policeman will come and arrest you. So such kind of things are happening in the country. Therefore, today we don't consider that a democracy is is still prevailing and it is followed up. It is not like that nowadays. So it is like a very arbitrary form of government is functioning. So we have to take care on this area. So the opposition party is there to raise up the voice against the government, especially when the government is a failure, especially when the government has promised certain things to the crowd during the oath taking, and those things are not fulfilled. Then the opposition party is raising the voice for the all these areas. Okay, so we have to understand about the opposition party. Then they also analyze the functioning of the government and ensure that it works only in favor of the people. So that is we can understand. Next we have got the coalition government. Now what type of coalition government? You see, coalition governments actually refers like a alliance formed by the political parties with an aim to form the government. Generally the party which secures the maximum number of votes in the elections form the government. So they are known as the ruling party. It means majority party. Okay, when you get the maximum number of the voting, and then you have the majority party. But suppose you don't get here, then what will happen here? That however, when no party in the elections secures a clear majority, two or more parties actually collaborating and form the government. So that is actually form an alliance to form the government. So such governments actually known as the coalition government. So this is the coalition government. So next we have the coalition governments have become a very common, especially especially you can say that a very common trend in India. And the major setback actually of the coalition government is that it delays the decision making process. Now once the coalition government is formed, it means 3 or 4 parties are actually combining this for this type of like government. Therefore, suppose the decision making will be taking place, then every party may not be agree. So one party may take the decision, the other party may not be agree with the decision. Therefore, in that area it is going to delay about the decision. So that's why in coalition government it is very bad that a decision is not coming all on a sudden to take the action. So that is we have to see here. So another thing we have to see that when one party forms the government, the decisions related to the policies and programs are taken by the party itself. And then however in coalition governments, all the parties of the alliance are to be consulted before passing a decision. So this is one of the advantage we have got there. Before passing any of the like decision, all the parties members are actually consulted and asking their opinions. So these are the few things that we have to understand with regard to this democracy and elections. Next chapter we will be talking about the state government. Here under this state governments, which are the points we need to keep in mind, especially when we talk about the state government. So number 1 point, legislature at the state level, that is known as the legislative. Then legislative assembly, and a legislative council. So we have got like a Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So we have got in the state level legislative assembly and a legislative council, upper house and a lower house. Second point, we have to understand about the executive at the state level, how this execution is taking place after having made the law. So here who are the people are actually playing the major role in a implementation of the law. So one is a governor, second one is a chief minister, third one is a council of ministers. And the third point that we need to remember that is about the judiciary at the state level. So suppose any of the law is implemented in the country, and suppose anyone is violated, especially the state, in the state suppose anyone is violated, then this particular law will be imposed on the person, and then either in the form of like a fine or in the form of like a jail, things will be implemented in the country. So here when we talk about India, okay, India, now in India we have got around 28 states and 9 union territories. So when we talk about this 28 states, you know, in order to ensure the smooth governance of these units, the government in India functions the 3 levels. You know, in India we have got 3 levels of functioning the what called the government. So in one is a central, second one is a state, and the third one is a local form of government. Now in this chapter we will especially will discuss about the like the constituents of the state government. So we will not discuss about the central government or maybe like a local government, but we will talk about the state government. So that's why it is, the title of this chapter is a state government. Now the government of the state government performs 3 major like functions. Actually makes laws, then executes laws, and protect laws from being broken. So these 3 things are actually functions even in the center also. So here along with the resolving disputes in accordance with the law. So okay, now these functions are actually performed by 3 major organs: legislature, executive, and then a judiciary. In this 3 function, the law will be practiced, the law will be implemented in the country. So that is how we can see it. So let us explore about the legislature, how this legislature is actually consists of different members, and how it works, and what is your function. Okay, so let's see, the state legislature actually consists of 2 houses, legislative assembly and a legislative council. So as we have already discussed in the first point. So now what is actually legislative assembly? Now in this area, especially all states of India actually have the legislative assembly, and the legislative assembly is the lower house of the state legislature, and it actually consists of the representatives directly elected by the people. So as we are directly appointing representatives, no, so that is actually this a part of this legislative assembly. So we today, for example, we have already given the vote, and then a person was already won, and then that person in fact has gone to the legislative assembly as a representative from that place. So that is the different constituencies actually we have got in a state and a districts. So here when it is directly elected and sending these people to the legislative assembly, what they do then, they are actually speaking the issues that actually we undergo, we suffer. Okay, now during the assembly elections you can see that a state is divided into smaller units. Okay, a state is divided into smaller units, and in the in the state you can see that in that unit especially the candidates selected actually in each of these constituencies become the member of the legislative assemblies. So we have got like a constituencies in the different districts and all. So we have got constituencies, and in these constituencies whoever has won, then they become the part of this legislative assembly. So they are actually known as the legislative assembly. It means a member of legislative assembly. So in the short form we call it MLS. Okay, so you must remember MLS is a short form of member of or members of legislative assembly. Clear now? Okay, so let us know about this qualification of the MLA for the state, what actually required for, what is needed for him. So for the first of all, the candidates must be, or the candidates should be citizens of India. He should not be the Bangladeshis or Pakistani, is it not? So a person should be the Indian. And then a second point we have to understand about him, that the candidate should be a voter in any constituency of the state. It means he should have the identity in the constituencies. Actually he should have the some name and fame there. It means people should be aware about him. Okay, so he should be the voter in any of the constituencies of the state. Next, third one is you have to understand that a candidate should not be less than 25 years. He should be more or less 25 years. Then the candidate should not hold any executive position under the government of India or state government. You must understand that a person who is going to become the constituencies assembly, then one who becomes the legislative assembly member, it means he should not hold any of the government posts, especially like either teacher or government post, or either he is any officers. No, he has to give up those things. So that is the thing to do. And then again, the government, then the candidate should be of sound mental health. He should be sound mental health. And the last one is the candidate should not be bankrupt. So these are the few qualifications that is required for one candidate to become a member of a legislative assembly. So in the next class, I will talk about officers, powers and functions of this legislative assemblies. Okay. So thank you and have a great day ahead.